Quitting pornography changed my life, and in this series, my intention is to provide you with the understanding, the frameworks, and the resources to help you quit too. This series is going to cover not just pornography, but lust as a wider topic too. Maybe you're watching this because you keep relapsing when you don't want to. Maybe you're watching this because you feel your relationship with God is getting strained. Or maybe you're watching it because it's ruining your relationships, it's ruining your confidence. Whatever it may be that lust and pornography is ruining, I want to make sure that I can help you to overcome it and become a man who's no longer governed by it. The following videos intend to answer the questions that you have around this topic. One final point before I get into it. This series is intended to be done in order. At the end of each episode, there's going to be short action points to do. It's not a requirement that you complete them, but I would highly advise active learning throughout this series. And that also means no skipping videos because you've seen the title and you think that you already know that. Because there could be one point in that video that changes everything for you. So you might be wondering, why am I creating this series in the first place? I first discovered pornography when I was just 10 years old. And the scary thing is that many of you who are watching this were probably around the same age too. I remember my friend had shown me this clip from the hub on his phone, and I didn't know what to do with myself. It was the first time I'd seen a naked woman. I didn't really understand too much about sex, and seeing this as my first introduction to sex and to women was quite damaging, because by 13 I was watching daily. If you weren't watching porn, you were classed as gay. That was what you were called, because if you didn't watch it, well, you know, what was wrong with you? Everybody else is watching it. And this is even the case now. I remember a few years ago when I was just starting to try and pull away from this, I was called weird. I was called crazy, because why are you trying to get away from porn? It's so normalized in our society, and that stems from being a very young age. Between the ages of 14 and 19, I was in a couple of different relationships, but that didn't stop the habit. You see, I'd still watch it when I wasn't with the girls, and truthfully, it made me feel guilty, especially when they knew, because it made them feel upset, and I didn't really understand that. Because again, for me, my response to that was, well, everybody watches it. I'm just a guy. And I know men who are 50, 60 who still have this mindset of course I watch it. You know, I'm a man. And you can't blame them, because that's what we've all been conditioned into. At 19, I ended up having a really bad breakup, not related to the porn, but it was a really bad breakup, and I decided to pack my bags and move from Stockport to Sheffield. I went to uni. It was never part of the plan, but I needed an escape. And what happened was a couple of years of drinking a lot, doing stupid things, and sleeping around with girls who I'd wake up next to and not even remember the name of. At the time, it was great. It was every young man's dream. But what had started to happen after a couple of years of this was I felt empty. I felt this isn't giving me anything, you know, it's all just the same. It's not providing any kind of meaningful connection. It's not giving me any meaning, any purpose. At the age of 20, I came across NoFap. And for those of you who don't know what NoFap is, it's basically an online movement that's telling guys to not masturbate because of all of the negative aspects of it, and it promotes the positive benefits of semen retention. So I tried it, and what happened was 5 years of on and off trying this, getting to 60-day streaks, 90-day streaks, and then failing, and then going on a 2-day streak, and then relapsing again, and then a 7-day streak, and then relapsing again. And this was on and off for the next 5 years. A couple of years later, at the age of 22, I decided to set up a business. And because I was so locked in and focused on good habits, discipline, and my business, I decided to stop sleeping around, because I knew that it was a big distraction. But now this lack of intimacy made it very difficult for me to stay focused on NoFap. Because I didn't have any female connection, it was a case of, well, where's this energy going to go to? About a year down the line, I ended up meeting a girl, and I knew from the start that she wasn't the one, but lust took over, and I ended up wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy by pursuing this woman who I knew wasn't going to be my wife. And I was angry at myself, because the first date that I went on with her, I knew that she wasn't the one, and I said to myself, I can't let this become a distraction to my business and to my habits. But I went there anyway, and I decided to sleep around with her for a couple of months, until it reached a point where I hit burnout in my business, and all of my relationships just went down the drain, including this one, and I decided to call it quits. It was at this point that I made a commitment. I am not going to sleep with another girl until I feel like she is the one. I've now been celibate for 1.5 years, But my journey with pornography has been very different. You see, what had happened was I'd become known as the disciplined guy in my friendship group. People knew that I was locked in, I was focused on my business and on my habits, but they didn't know that whilst I said that I hated porn and that it was such a horrible industry, that I was secretly falling back into it. And this is a very important part of this whole series, because lust thrives in secrecy. Now, I tried everything to get rid of this habit. I tried habit trackers, I tried cutting out with blocks, I tried fleeing, reading books on what porn does to the brain. I've tried everything, and it was only in January 2026 that I finally cracked the code with the help of God. Now, before you click off this video, if you're not religious, understand that this series isn't going to be me preaching to you about how my life was changed. There's going to be elements of my relationship with God throughout this, but understand that all of the tips that I'm going to give you is practical advice. And this advice comes from somebody who had been battling for 5 years. And I said that if God allows me to quit this disgusting habit, that I will help others to do the same. And that is what I'm here to do today. To finally make the change that I needed and become porn free, I needed to learn the difference between lust and love. And that is what we're going to cover in the next episode, because porn teaches you a warped version of what a woman really is. Now, action step, before we get into the next episode, I want you to do a short activity. And what this activity is going to be is writing down your own lust timeline, exactly the same as I did. I noted down when I started, which was the age of 10, and everything that came in between. My journey with pornography, my journey with lust, and now I sit before you as a 25-year-old man, been celibate for 1.5 years. I don't watch porn, I've got a relationship with God, and I'm building my life to be able to become a good provider, a good leader, and also a good husband for my future wife. So guys, before we get into the next episode, make sure that you write down your own timeline, and I will see you on the next one.